Living with diabetes often means rethinking your relationship with food, doesn't it? We're constantly told to load up on vegetables for good health, and that's generally great advice. But here's something that might surprise you. Not all vegetables are created equal when it comes to blood sugar. Some common, seemingly innocent veggies can actually send your glucose levels on a roller coaster ride, potentially undoing all your hard work. It sounds shocking, I know. So, let's dive into 10 vegetables that people managing diabetes or prediabetes really need to be cautious about, or perhaps even skip, to keep those blood sugar levels steady and stay healthy. Number 1, potatoes, the starch overload. Potatoes. They're the ultimate comfort food, right? Mashed, baked, fried, boiled. They show up everywhere. But for anyone keeping a close eye on blood sugar, potatoes can be a real hurdle. The main issue? They're packed with starch and have a sky-high glycemic index, GI, often landing somewhere between 78 and 86, sometimes even higher depending on how you cook them. High GI foods break down super fast in your body, flooding your bloodstream with sugar and causing those sharp spikes we try so hard to avoid. It doesn't matter much if they're boiled, baked, or mashed. That starch converts to sugar quickly. And let's not even start on French fries or chips, which usually add unhealthy fats and salt into the mix. Some studies even hint at a connection between eating lots of potatoes, especially the fried kind, and a higher risk of type 2 diabetes, or making blood sugar harder to manage if you already have it. Now, could a tiny, plain boiled potato portion be okay sometimes? Maybe, if paired carefully. But honestly, the risk of a glucose spike is pretty high. You might find that switching to options like steamed cauliflower or roasted broccoli gives you that satisfying bite without messing with your numbers nearly as much. Number 2. Sweet corn, the deceptive grain. Sweet corn, especially fresh off the cob during a summer cookout, just tastes like sunshine. It's crunchy, sweet, and adds a pop of color to salads and sides. But don't let its cheerful appearance fool you. It packs more carbohydrates than you might think. Though we treat it like a vegetable in the kitchen, corn is technically a grain. It has a moderate to high glycemic index, around 52-60, and delivers about 21 grams of carbs in just half a cup. That combo means even a reasonable portion can push your blood sugar up noticeably, especially if you aren't balancing it out with protein and fiber. That sweet part of its name is accurate. It definitely has more natural sugar than many other veggies. While it does offer some fiber, its effect on blood sugar often makes it less ideal for folks needing tight glucose control. Think about how easily corn gets added to things. Creamed corn, cornbread, casseroles, often with extra fats or sugars. If stable blood sugar is your goal, you'll likely have better luck with lower carb choices like sautéed spinach or kale, steamed asparagus, or crisp green beans. They fill you up with nutrients without sending your glucose levels soaring. Number 3, peas, the starchy green. Those little green peas look so harmless, don't they? Often tossed into meals as a vibrant, healthy extra. And yes, they do have vitamins and some fiber. But compared to many other green veggies, peas are surprisingly starchy and carry a fair amount of carbs, about 20 to 21 grams in a cup. Their glycemic index is generally moderate, but because of the carb load, eating a larger serving can definitely lead to a blood sugar bump. If you're working hard to keep your glucose levels stable, you might be surprised by the impact of a simple side of peas. Think about how often they bulk up dishes like pasta salads, rice pilafs, or pot pies, adding more carbs than you might realize. A small sprinkle might be okay now and then within a balanced meal, but making peas a go-to vegetable could make managing your blood sugar trickier. Why not reach for green beans, broccoli florets, chopped zucchini, or spinach instead? You can usually eat more of them, get plenty of nutrients, and see much less of an effect on your blood sugar readings. It's often a safer bet for day-to-day eating. Number 4, butternut squash, the sneaky sugar source. When the weather cools down, butternut squash seems to be everywhere, roasted, blended into creamy soups, tucked into stews. Its bright orange color and slightly sweet taste make it really appealing, and it's often praised for being rich in vitamin A. But here's the catch for diabetes management. Butternut squash is quite a bit higher in carbohydrates than its summer relatives, like zucchini. You're looking at about 16 grams of carbs per cooked cup, and it has a moderate to high glycemic index. While it does have some fiber, it's often not enough to significantly slow down the sugar absorption from its natural starches, especially if you eat a decent amount. Roasting it, which is how many people enjoy it, actually concentrates those sugars, potentially increasing its impact on your blood sugar. It's easy to have a bit too much, especially when it's pureed in soup or served as roasted chunks, and then wonder why your glucose readings are higher than expected. If you want that comforting squash vibe without the carb load, think about using zucchini, eggplant, bell peppers, or even cauliflower. They're super versatile and much kinder to your blood sugar levels. Number 5. Pumpkin, the high GI culprit. Pumpkin screams autumn. It's in pies, breads, coffees, and even savory dishes. It's loaded with good stuff like vitamins A and C. But surprisingly, pumpkin can be tricky for blood sugar because it has a high glycemic index, right around 75. That high number means the carbs in pumpkin turn into sugar in your bloodstream pretty quickly, potentially causing those sharp spikes you want to avoid. While a cup of plain cooked pumpkin has a moderate carb count, around 12 grams, the speed of absorption is the main issue. And let's be honest, most popular pumpkin dishes are loaded with added sugar. Pies, lattes, muffins, you name it. Those extras send the sugar content and glycemic load through the roof. Even just roasting plain pumpkin can make its natural sugars more concentrated and impactful. Sure, maybe a tiny bit of plain pumpkin puree mixed into a balanced meal could work for some, but making it a regular feature or indulging in those sweet treats can really throw your blood sugar off track. It's usually safer to stick with low GI, non-starchy veggies like leafy greens, broccoli, and bell peppers for your daily nutrient boost without the glycemic worry. Number 6. Beetroot, the naturally sugary root. Beets have such a beautiful, deep color and an earthy flavor that many people love. They're often highlighted for health benefits like nitrates that might help with blood pressure. But these root veggies also contain a fair bit of natural sugar, giving them a moderate glycemic index of about 61. It's not as high as a potato, but combined with the carbs, around 13 grams per cooked cup, eating beets can definitely cause some blood sugar ups and downs, especially if you eat a lot or choose certain preparations. Pickled beets are often a hidden sugar trap, as the brine frequently contains added sugar, making them much worse for glucose control. And beet juice? That concentrates all the sugar and removes the fiber, meaning it can hit your bloodstream very fast. Eating whole, cooked beets in small amounts might be okay for some as part of a well-rounded meal, but you really need to watch the portion size and see how your body reacts. If you want reliable blood sugar stability, swapping beets for lower sugar options like kale, Swiss chard, lettuce, or cauliflower is often a better strategy. You still get great nutrients, but with much less impact on your glucose. Number 7. Sweet potatoes, the health halo trap. Sweet potatoes get a lot of good press, often called the healthier potato choice for people with diabetes. They do have a lower glycemic index than white potatoes, around 61 when boiled, but cooking method matters, and offer more vitamin A and fiber. That sounds great, but here's the trap. They are still a starchy vegetable packed with carbohydrates. A medium sweet potato, about 100-115 grams, has roughly 23-25 grams of carbs. Yes, the fiber helps slow down sugar absorption a bit compared to white potatoes, but eating large portions or dousing them in sugar and fat, think candied yams or those marshmallow-topped casseroles, completely wipes out any benefits and can send your blood sugar soaring. Because they're often seen as purely good, it's easy to eat too much, leading to confusingly high glucose readings. If you choose to eat sweet potatoes, portion control needs to be strict, and simple preparation methods like baking or boiling without added sugar are essential. Honestly, for more predictable blood sugar results day to day, relying more on lower carb root veggies like carrots in moderation, or mostly non-starchy vegetables is often the safer path. Number 8. Yams, the hidden high-carb root. People sometimes mix up yams and sweet potatoes, especially in the US, where many things labeled yams are actually sweet potatoes. But true yams are a separate type of root vegetable, very common in African, Asian, and Caribbean cooking. Just like their starchy cousins, true yams are high in carbohydrates, about 17 to 18 grams per 100 grams, and have a moderate glycemic index, often around 51, though this can vary. They provide some good nutrients like potassium, but that carb content means they can have a real impact on blood sugar if you're not careful with how much you eat. Since they might be less common in some diets or mistaken for something else, it's easy to overlook their potential effect on your glucose levels. If yams are part of your meals, treat them like potatoes or sweet potatoes. Keep portions small and try to balance them with lean protein and lots of non-starchy veggies to help lessen the blood sugar spike. For steadier blood sugar management, focusing on vegetables that grow above ground and aren't roots is generally a more reliable strategy. Number 9. Colocasia, Taro, Arbi, the starchy offender. Colocasia, which you might know as taro root or Arbi if you enjoy South Asian food, is another starchy root that needs careful attention in a diabetic meal plan. It pops up in dishes all over the world, often boiled, fried, or steamed. Taro has a moderate glycemic index, around 60, and packs about 17 grams of carbohydrates per 100-gram serving. That combination means it can definitely push your blood sugar up after eating, especially if you have a generous portion or if it's fried, which adds unhealthy fats too. Taro does offer some fiber and minerals, but its starchy nature puts it squarely in the handle with care category for diabetes. People love its unique texture and taste in traditional recipes, but knowing its impact on blood sugar is really important. If you're aiming for tight glucose control, you might want to use less taro in recipes, find lower carb substitutes, or make sure to eat only very small amounts alongside protein and plenty of high-fiber greens like spinach, methi, fenugreek leaves, cabbage, or okra. Number 10. Vegetable juice, the fiberless trap. It seems like such a healthy shortcut, right? Grab a bottle of vegetable juice and get your veggies in quickly. But this habit can actually be a trap for people managing diabetes. When vegetables are juiced, almost all the natural fiber is usually removed. That fiber is incredibly important because it slows down how quickly sugars get into your bloodstream. Without the fiber, the natural sugars and carbs in the vegetables, even low-carb ones, hit your system much faster, often leading to a rapid blood sugar spike. To make matters worse, many bottled vegetable juices have fruit juices added for taste, which just adds more sugar. A single cup can easily contain 20 grams of carbs or more, with hardly any fiber to buffer the effect. By drinking juice instead of eating the whole vegetable, you miss out on fiber's benefits for blood sugar control, digestion, and feeling full. The best advice? Eat your vegetables whole whenever possible. Munch on them raw, steam them, roast them, or grill them. That way, you get all the good stuff, especially the fiber. Practical tips for managing vegetable choices. So, how do you handle vegetables wisely when you have diabetes? It's not about avoiding them entirely, but about being smart. First off, portion control is key, especially with those starchier veggies we just talked about. Get familiar with serving sizes. Second, think about how you cook them. Steaming, boiling, grilling, or roasting with just a little healthy oil is much better than frying or loading them up with sugary sauces or lots of butter. Third, create balanced plates, eating higher carb veggies with lean protein like chicken or fish, and some healthy fat like avocado helps slow down sugar absorption. Fill the rest of your plate with low GI, high fiber heroes. Think spinach, kale, broccoli, cauliflower, bell peppers, zucchini. These should be your staples. Also, get in the habit of reading labels on packaged veggies to spot hidden sugars or too much salt. And finally, remember, everyone's body is different. What works for one person might not work for another. Chatting with a registered dietitian or a certified diabetes educator can help you create a personalized plan that really works for you and your health goals. Smart swaps for lasting blood sugar control. Okay, it might feel a bit surprising, even discouraging, to hear that some go-to vegetables could be problematic for blood sugar. But knowing about the impact of potatoes, corn, peas, certain squashes, beets, sweet potatoes, yams, taro, and vegetable juices isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you. Understanding things like carbohydrate counts and the glycemic index helps you make better choices. You don't necessarily have to banish these foods forever, though some might need very strict limits. But you do need to be mindful. Focus on smaller portions of the starchy guys, choose healthier cooking methods, and really load up on those fantastic low-carb, high-fiber options like leafy greens and cruciferous veggies. Making smart swaps and paying attention to how different foods affect your body puts you back in control. It's these informed, consistent choices that lead to more stable blood sugar, better long-term health, and feeling your best while living with diabetes. You've got this. Found this useful? Please share it with anyone else who might be navigating diabetes and diet. We'd also love to hear from you. Drop your questions or share your own tips and experiences in the comments below. Your insights help everyone in the community.